Child touching Joe Biden?
Child touching Joe Biden is still ranked number one.
Wait, he's a child toucher now? I thought he was just, like, moderately racist.
No, child toucher. Do you not see the pictures of him where he's, like, his hands are around the girl's, like, shoulders, and he's staying behind her, he's, like, smelling her hair?
No.
He's like a young girl. Yeah, he's just smelling her hair. On top of being, you know...
Oh my god, and then
yeah.
he's, like, kissing children,
he's,
too.
like, kissing
it's, like,
children.
All over children.
The only thing worse would be
he's got his sex slave in a headlock, too.
Yeah, he's got a sex slave in a headlock. So Sanders is now tied with Joe Biden.
Well, tied just means he's, you know,
in the
fifth place.
Well, Biden is apparently still number one.
Apparently.
Yeah, Bloomberg is, you know... Well, Buttigieg is... Right now it's Biden, Sanders, Warren, and Buttigieg. And then Kamala Harris. Bootygei. Bootygei. No, you can't say that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the sort of... That's his...
If you don't vote for him, you're literally homophobic.
You're literally homophobic.
He's a homo-ethno-nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's progressive. He's not a Nazi. He's a gay Nazi.
I mean, it's like... Where the fuck was Buttigieg from again? Bootygei?
Middle of nowhere, Illinois.
Middle of nowhere.
Not even like Chicago or like...
Yeah, and he like fucked up his town.
Or no, he's like from Indiana, I think.
Yeah.
He's the only gay guy in Indiana.
The only gay man. Well, no, he's got his husband.
Oh yeah, I guess he lives in Indiana too.
And apparently he also worked for the CIA. It's like the rumors that he worked for the CIA because he would always talk about like his operations in Iraq.
His operations.
Yeah. And so he'd be like, oh, you know.
So was he a combat vet? I thought he was just in the army.
No, he was just a fucking contractor. So he would say shit like, oh, I'm always learning. Doesn't matter if it's like an office or a plane or a safe house in Iraq, and or a bus.
Turns out he just drove trucks and was a gun runner and just delivered guns. Like
well, he certainly signed the paperwork that allowed people to run guns. That's definitely for sure. But yeah, apparently he's getting taught. He's like on the up and up, right? But yeah, where the fuck did he even come from? Like, when did he suddenly decide that he wanted to run?
Probably when his handlers told him to.
Yeah, probably. The CIA was like,
yeah, we need
hey, all these billionaires are running for president. Like, they're just cutting out the middleman, so we just gotta do that too. This is actually just a CIA inside job.
Yeah. Some people are saying, like, his dance was designed to be inclusive for deaf people. Now, if only his campaign can be inclusive for 13% of Americans who are black, then we would be all cool.
No, you don't understand. They're just not being inclusive of him.
Yeah, because apparently black people hate gays and they hate deaf people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck deaf people.
They're gonna say fuck black people.
I can't even tell them I fucking hate them because they won't hear me saying it, so I have to like sign it to them, which just lets them win. That's them winning.
If you sign it, they win.
If you sign it, they win.
There's a conspiracy of deaf people trying to take over America.
Yeah.
Reject the deaf agenda.
The deaf agenda, too. You can't, how are you going to stop them, though? Like, you can't silence them because they're already quiet. Speaking of silencing, China trying to silence democracy. You like that segue right there?
Oh, yeah, that's a great segue. China literally killed democracy.
Dude, China kills democracy by allowing the Hong Kongers to vote in an election that most pro-democracy, quote, pro-Western people won more office seats.
I'm surprised at how many people voted for Mr. Establishment rather than Mr. Democracy. I didn't even know those were Chinese names.
Dude, crazy. But, you know what's funny? In allowing them to vote, and basically, the protesters, the fucking rioters won, they basically proved that China was a democracy. Because if China wasn't because even before, the votes were tallied, the Western-backed media were already spreading rumors that, Chinese people were going in and tampering with the polls, even before the results were announced, right? But now that suddenly, basically, the U.S. won, suddenly it's all that stories just disappeared. It just stopped broadcasting, right? But now, in allowing this vote to happen, China has proved that, yes, all along, they were, in fact, a democracy.
Well, they could have voted for the pro-democracy candidates this whole time.
Dude, it's
instead of stabbing. Well, I feel like most of the pro-establishment or pro-China representatives were just like stabbed or hit over the head.
Well, no,
they did stab a couple.
There was terrorism because they're setting.
No, they're freedom fighters.
They said like freedom fighters. That's right. It's the word choice right there. But it was shit like we had to set people on fire for speaking out against them.
Well, I mean, it's nice that the anti-China narrative crosses boundaries and it's cross-ideological. Because you have anarchists and democratic socialists all claiming that China is a fascistic government. And you also have libertarians and right-wing nationalists all vowing to arm Hong Kong. They're sending them like blueprints for guns. They're giving them money for laser pointers. And all across, it's left. There's no left-right divide on this issue. Everyone just wants to take down China.
I mean, it just really just goes to show that it doesn't matter if you're a Democratic or a Republican. You're a fucking imperialist.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
anarcho-imperialism.
Yeah, I mean, because let's be honest here. Like, we don't fucking say bullshit about the fact that nobody's actually even in the media is talking anymore about Bolivia, and the fact that Bolivia's president declared herself president in front of an empty Senate filled with nothing but her supporters.
Well, now they're reporting that she claimed or she labeled Morales as a terrorist who's inciting violence against her presidency. Yeah, and now mass media is kind of portraying Morales as this evil, dictatorial president or ex-president.
He's such a dictator that he said that he would listen to the OAS's research or the OAS's investigation into the voter fraud. He would abide by whatever they say.
And it's not enough that he literally put out a tweet that said, "I urge all of my followers to remain nonviolent."
Yeah.
Like, literally said.
No.
Just like he literally went to the Amazon rainforest when it was burning with a hose. And you have all these people claiming that, Morales did absolutely jack shit to put out these Amazon rainforest fires. Which were started by rich white Bolivians who went to...
the logging companies.
Well, and the logging companies, too.
Which killed indigenous people
And he originally opened up the rainforest for burning, because what the indigenous people have been doing for thousands of years is they clear swaths of the rainforest for agriculture. And then their old farms, they let regrow. And they allow regrowth.
Yeah. Slash and burn. What's it called?
I think slash and burn. It's a common practice.
Basically, they burn down the wood to let it nurture the soil, and then they let it regrow. Basically,
so and then they farm on it, and then they let their old farms regrow, or they allow regrowth of the Amazon rainforest. But then these rich white settlers came into the indigenous lands and said, "We're going to do the same practice," but because they had no idea what the fuck they were doing, they just let the whole Amazon rainforest burn down. And then, of course, you had the fires from Brazil, cross-border, and Morales, it's kind of difficult for such a small country like Bolivia to be able to handle a massive forest fire that's burning down hundreds of millions of acres. Yeah. So he brought in planes from America and Mexico and I think Brazil and to help put out the fires, and he literally went to the fires with a hose and himself assisted putting them out.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do when it's a natural disaster, a huge catastrophe. And people are claiming, that's why he was deposed, was because he was a poor leader who didn't do anything for the forest fires.
No, that's just bullshit.
It's disinfo.
Alright, it's disinformation. It's misinformation. It's just fucking bullshit propaganda at this point, honestly. If you can't recognize a coup for a coup, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say on that. Oh, man.
Alright, I don't know what next.
Well, we could talk about New Jersey news.
New Jersey news. What's happening in New Jersey?
Oh, you want to talk about Monroe? What happened there?
Monroe politics, yeah.
Monroe politics.
Local politics.
Small town politics. Oh, boy.
Hell yeah, small town politics.
Oh,
shit. Whiskey all over me.
Oh, fuck.
That's some good whiskey, too.
I know, I'm sad. Yeah, dude. So...
Okay, well, Wild Turkey is really good whiskey. In case you guys didn't know, their reserve and single barrel whiskeys, they use the same mash across all of their brands. So Wild Turkey, Russell's Reserve, Russell's Single Barrel, Russell's Straight Out of the Barrel. I think it's like something with a rooster, like the really high end bourbons that they put out. They all use the same mash. So if you do, I'm not plugging Wild Turkey, I just really like it.
Wild Turkey, please sponsor us.
Yes. But if you do want to taste or try out different whiskeys and taste the difference between maybe a single barrel, straight barrel, or what do they call it? A blended whiskey or a blended bourbon. Definitely try out like Wild Turkey and then try out Russell's Reserve. You get a good sense of the flavor profiles of the different techniques for making whiskey. But yeah, back to Monroe news.
Oh, dude. So, I mean, you were telling me last night. I mean, I've been missing out on the local Monroe news, but you were telling me last night about how there was an axe murder just running around town.
Oh yeah,
multiple axe murderers running around
multiple
town,
axe
killing
murders.
people.
We referenced the axe murder of Monroe Township, and then we got confused because there were multiple axe murderers. I mean, some guy split his dad's head open in Monroe Township, in like the middle of the woods, because it's half suburban, half farmland, so you get a good mix of those two different types of suburbia, I guess. Mm-hmm. You get the boonies and the suburbs. But some guy split his dad's head open, was running around to different neighborhoods.
And this isn't the axe murder from 2008.
No.
That was a different axe murder.
This is the axe murder from 2018.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, 2018. Okay, so that guy. And this is different from the guy who murdered his father with an axe and then set his house on fire in Jamesburg.
Yeah.
It's a different one. And it's also different from the axe murder that was running around in Thompson Park, right? Or is that the same one?
I'm not sure. I never heard about that axe murder, but I was looking at a story online on patch.com, and apparently there was an axe murder in Thompson Park for a little while.
Oh my god.
But, they don't report this shit because they got to keep the public safe, or keep the public not freaking out. But, yeah, how about that Monroe Township voice? Dude. The liberal agenda destroying Monroe.
The liberal agenda. Well, I mean, you could say that, but then isn't aside from our mayor, who, let's just be honest, is just like the most stereotypical corrupt New Jersey paisano politician. I don't think it really matters if you're a Republican or a Democrat. A corrupt paisano is still a corrupt paisano. And basically, I mean, this past elections was just a mess. Not
yeah,
gonna lie. Like it was. I mean, like I didn't like Pete Tufano or DePiero. Dipshit DePiero.
Developer DePiero. But like, I mean, honestly, I didn't even hear about what the fuck was. I don't even know who our current mayor is anymore because I think it's still Tufano. He recently declared war on the neighboring town of Cranberry.
Oh yeah,
and he originally threatened to close down all of the roads leading to the Cranberry warehouses. Now, the Cranberry is one of the largest industrial campuses in New Jersey. It's part of the I-95 corridor leading to New York, and a lot of the retail commerce comes through there. Like, Wayfair has their largest warehouses there. Amazon has their largest warehouses there in the 8A corridor. And so, to shut down a couple stretches of road in Cranberry literally cuts off half of, like, the New York metropolitan retail warehouse space from the interstate, and causes like an hour delay in their delivery times, which increases shipping costs by like I think 10%. They were saying, which is an insane amount. It has like a rippling effect for the entire economy.
God damn.
Just shutting down like a couple roads in small bumfuck Monroe has a ripple effect that can lead to Amazon shutting down warehouses that employ tens of thousands of people.
Fuck, man. Wait. I wonder where he learned that from. I wonder where he learned that tactic of shutting down your opposition's road networks. Could have been our previous governor now, could it?
Oh, yeah. I'll shut down the bridges if you don't.
If you don't vote for me, I'll shut down your bridges.
What do I care? I'll just retreat to my beach house.
Yeah.
Beaches are shut down? Fuck you, these are my beaches.
Beach. Yeah, I'll just close down a beach as well, and then bring my whole family on there and just fucking lay out there like.
Who the fuck are you? You're just a teacher. The teachers' union is shit. You're nothing. You're shit. I don't care.
You're little roach. You're fucking you fucking shit.
Like that Gungan from episode 1.
I was thinking more like Jabba the Hutt. I mean, just fucking yanking around.
Jabba the Hutt. Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt he just lays around on his beach with his fucking fat rolls hanging over.
Stuffing his fat face.
Has like a poor little Mexican girl on a chain, just like yanks her around on the beach.
Chom's River is just across the bay. There's young kids dying of heroin, rotting in the street. And he's just stuffing his fat face full of chicken legs. He's like, these are my beaches.
He'll like recreate that picture of the Turkish man during the Armenian genocide, and he'll just be like eating it. He has like a bucket of KFC while like starving Mexican children are like on the street, and he'll just stand over them, just holding a chicken wing above them. He's like, come on, you want the chicken wing? Like holds it out.
You can have the drippings.
Yeah, he like holds out the chicken to them. And they're like, oh, si, senor, gracias, senor. He's like, What
do you mean kids need buses after school? They can walk.
Yeah, they can fucking walk home. You know, back in my day, I walked uphill both ways.
To my private school that my parents owned.
To my private school that my parents owned, or my parents donated an extreme amount of money to get me into. Which is also, I consider, hard work, you know.
Oh my god, remember his president campaign? 2016, it feels like it was just yesterday.
Dude, that was a mess. I just remember, like, he declared his presidency and everyone just laughed at him.
Yeah.
But he was serious. And people thought he was just joking around.
And he was like, excuse me, Mr. Trump, you can't bully people into your presidency. Only I can do that.
Only I'm allowed. Only I'm allowed to.
And then everyone made fun of poor Jeb Bush.
Oh god, yeah. Dude, I hope he runs.
I know, Jeb Bush 2020.
Dude, Jeb.
Jeb.
Hang on a second.
My favorite meme from him. Remember when he had his I think it was a Colt 45 or something, or 1911 or some, or maybe it was like shitty little Glock. I don't remember. But he's like, yeah, I have a gun in my backpack all the time. It says, God bless America, and blazoned on the side of the barrel. And then it's just like, when everyone's bullying poor Jeff, and he starts reaching in his backpack, and it's just all the Republican candidates in the background. Like, oh my god.
I thought you were referencing, like, his turtles.
Oh, yeah.
He's always got, like, 2 turtles in his pocket, and he's like, oh, this one's Richard, and this one's Jim.
And then sometimes I meet Hillary, and they play with her
play
turtles.
Together.
Apparently Hillary has turtles in her bag, too.
No, she has hot sauce.
She has everything in her bag.
She's got a peel. Well, you mean the 20 bags that all of her assistants hold for her?
Mm-hmm. A little bit of cyanide for her supporters, or the journalists.
The journalists who ask too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
This just reminds me of
Priority Mail, a little bit of powder.
Priority Mail. You know,
who was that guy who was killed?
Jeff Epstein?
No, the journalist who mysteriously committed suicide by getting shot 2 times in the back of the head.
Dude, that's like
in the
every
middle
journalist.
of Washington, D.C.
That's like every journalist.
Yeah, any political journalist now. Oh yeah, what were you saying about Jeb Bush?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, making fun of Jeb Bush reminded me of that green text.
Yeah.
From, like, where he's like, be Jeb Bush, wake up early in the morning, feel depressed and empty, sit up an open nightstand drawer, pull out a loaded .22 handgun and stick the barrel in my mouth. Suddenly, remember today is Sunday fun day. A smile rushes back to my face. Put gun back in drawer. Not today.
Sunday fun day, not today.
And then he like goes down. He fucking goes downstairs, and Donald Trump is in his kitchen. And he's like, and his wife is like, "Ay, Dios míos, Jeb Bush, you forgot to put on your slippers." And she like puts him over her knee and just like starts whacking the shit out of him in front of Donald Trump. God, I feel so bad for Jeb Bush. He's such a sad man. What a sad
Was
man.
he the one who was the governor of Florida who put George Bush in power?
Yeah, I think so.
Or I thought he was from Texas. How many Bushes are there?
There's Bush Senior and then Jeb and his brother.
I think his brother was governor of Florida who rigged the vote.
No, I thought he was from Texas. Oh no,
I think there's a third Bush, and then there's 2 other Bushes that like no one talks about.
Jeb Bush is the governor of Florida.
They're like the gremlins in the basement that they just don't like, that the family just doesn't mention. Yeah. They don't get any of the oil wealth.
None of the oil wealth. Yeah, so Jeb. Oh yeah, speaking of rich people running for president again, who was that? The Kennedy guy. Wasn't he going to run for president?
There's still Kennedy around?
Yeah, there's like
they all got shot in the head.
I mean, I wish. What was that one? Joe Kennedy the Third. I remember he made some like live stream announcement that he was going to run for president. I think like 6 months ago, and then we just never heard from him again.
I'm still voting for Vermin Supreme.
Vermin Supreme.
I don't know. Actually, don't know if he's running again.
I mean, he runs every year, so
yeah,
I'm not surprised. Let's see now. Who has he?
Was the rent is too damn high guy from 2016 or 2012?
I think that's the 2012. The rent is too damn high. Yeah, because in 2012. Yeah, in 2012 it was 2016. It was just Obama. No, it was basically just Trump and Hillary.
Yeah, well, Bernie before that. They said, oh well, no one actually voted for Bernie in front of like 5,000 Bernie supporters. Yeah. They all threw chairs at the. Was it
somehow all the neighborhoods?
The chairman, like, what? It wasn't Weinstein. It was like Weissman or something.
Yeah. Or it was based stuff like the vote would be split 50-50 for Hillary and Sanders, and then all of the electoral college people would just be like, no, we're just all going to vote for Hillary, even though technically they're supposed to split the vote. Or neighborhoods that were primarily Bernie supporters would just mysteriously find out they've all been removed from the ballot.
I feel like stop and frisk, I hate black people. Bloomberg is gonna he might win the ticket because he's now promoting himself as someone who's a grassroots candidate who's taking no campaign donations, self-funded, all from the people, and he's a Republican billionaire from New York. He's literally Donald Trump, but less senile.
You know what Trump is just gonna do? He's just gonna make fun of Bloomberg.
No,
he's just gonna
Bloomberg's gonna be like, I have $50 billion. You only have $5.
And then you know what Trump's
just
gonna
be a bunch of billionaires waving
like,
their dicks around.
Yeah, but then Trump is just gonna be like, tiny Mike there over there, little tiny Mike. Tiny Mike,
you literally caused 9/11.
Yeah, you caused 9/11.
You're lucky you didn't hit my buildings.
Yeah, Tiny Mike gets results. He came and get his dick up. He would absolutely say something like that.
Oh, that would be hilarious if they just if those two debated. I don't know. Who do you think would be the funniest debate? Trump versus Bloomberg, or I feel like Trump versus Buttigieg would be funny.
Buttigieg, I mean,
Trump would just keep cracking dick jokes.
Yeah, he would just make fun of jokes. Buttigieg, you think I'm being a dick to you? I thought you liked dicks. Yeah. But
no, when I was building the meat packing district, you were building your fudge packing district.
The fudge, you were packing fudge. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, honestly, if Mike runs for president, it's
you already announced it. He announced it yesterday.
Yeah, no, he announced it last week. I thought.
Was it? I don't want to give a shit.
He announced it. Actually, no.
We're all gonna die of a nuclear holocaust. It doesn't matter.
He applied for the Alabama primary. I think a month ago. But if he fucking wins the Democratic, nomination, nobody's gonna fucking vote. Cause who gives a shit about Bloomberg?
Well,
I'm not. I wouldn't.
Variety or something, or Vox put out a piece where it's look at this billionaire. He has more money than Trump. Therefore, he's more successful and would make a better president. Because apparently, we can only judge presidents based on
their wealth.
Their wealth, yeah.
Oh, you mean this one? Michael Bloomberg is finally officially running for president. Fucking gross. Yeah, just look at this guy. He's so fucking. Michael Bloomberg is every stereotype about the cigar chomping businessman in suits.
You know what his only
fucks everybody
productive endeavor was? He created he invested in the software and the machines that run the algorithms for Wall Street. It's literally a unproductive.
He doesn't do anything.
To just amass wealth. There's no productive value behind the computers he's made. No. All they do is just trade stocks at 3 milliseconds a second. That's their only value. Is just to garner more wealth.
Get
these
more money.
Hedge funds.
Yeah, it's nobody who's a billionaire earned their $1 billion.
Well, yeah,
because he
didn't create any productive value for society whatsoever.
I mean, there's when you're a billionaire, there's no way that you could have ever worked hard enough to earn $1 billion without relying on like thousands or hundreds of thousands of other people and just stealing their wealth. Not a single billionaire earned their money through hard work and pulling stuff up.
All he did was siphon off the wealth that Wall Street siphoned off of the working class.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a leech. He's a leech of the leeches.
He's literally a leech.
It's like the little mites and parasites who are on the leech's skin. Yeah, that's what Bloomberg is.
Except, the leech has gotten so big that it's bigger than the actual host. Yeah. And I mean, it's just insane. Like, I can't. $1 billion is
burn these leeches.
It's such an inconceivably large amount of money. Like, I can't. Like, we're like, oh, when you're a millionaire, that's a lot of money. And like, with my current earnings, it would take me
10,000 years.
It would take me 15 years of my current wages ish to earn enough money to earn $1 million. Not even save up $1 million to earn $1 million. Yeah. It would take me, 15,000 years of working to earn $1 billion.
The amount of money that, like Schultz, the CEO, I think his name's Schultz, of Starbucks earns in a day is more than the amount a Starbucks employee works or earns in a year. No, and that's a low-level CEO of a food product or a coffee company. I mean, let alone your $50 billion earners.
It's insane. I mean, and that's why I like Bernie, because, when Bloomberg ran for president, Warren was like, let's have a coffee together and we'll talk about shaking hands and going to barbecues and good old-fashioned American, ingenuity. And then Sanders was just like, no billionaires should exist. Fuck them.
Dude, I was in New York coming home from work when Warren had her Washington Square Park speech and rally to talk to, I guess, what she presumed to be the progressive base of America, NYU, even though it hasn't been that for like 50 years. She's like, oh, I'll go back to my roots in the Washington Square Park, down home.
Wait, wasn't NYU. She in the Republican Party back then?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't even make sense.
I'm walking around this rally. There's a bunch of people surrounding the arch in Washington Square Park. You have the RevComs and the Workers' World parties selling their newspapers on the outskirts. Of course. Jack shit.
Workers' World is doing nothing.
And RevCom, those fucking backing cultists.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, this is boring. Warren's not coming out for another 30 minutes. So I walk around the park and I notice that one giant hotel where all the millionaires stay at, a couple houses or not, like a half a block up from Washington Square Park. I'm like, oh, well, there's a big crowd of media out there. They got your big news gathering cameras out there. I'm like, oh, well, that's of course where Warren is. And 15 minutes go by. Everyone's like, she's coming. And she runs down from this 5-star hotel where it probably costs like $600 a night, going like this, peace sign up in the air, Nixon style. And she's like, hello, everyone. I am your savior, your white savior. And she runs down and charges Washington Square Park. And she's like, hello, everyone. We are here to change America. I'm just like, that's just really bad optics to be coming out of like a 5-star hotel like that. Championing your progressive campaign.
It's fucking awful. I can't believe I used to actually like Warren. Like, back when, the 2016 election, I used to think Warren or Kamala, they should be Bernie's VP candidate.
Yeah, it was pretty cool when she stood up for Standing Rock. And that was Jill Stein.
Yeah, that's
Warren just pretended to be a Native American instead of actually
1%.
Vandalizing oil
Pocahontas
oil company
Warren.
assets at Standing Rock and getting arrested for it.
Yeah.
You can't expect too much from the Democratic establishment.
Yeah. Well, fucker. Oh yeah. That wasn't the same rally that you went to on Friday, though, is it?
No, that was what was it? Decolonize This.
Mm-hmm.
Or Decolonize This and MTA subway protest.
What was that?
Well, it was 4,000 people showed up to this rally in Harlem, New York, which is actually a staggering amount considering in 2017, even right after the election, you had all those Syrian anti-war protests and anti-Trump protests and radical leftists. You only really had 300 or so of them show up to any of these given events. And even then, half of them would disappear after we started marching. And then you look at this, you have 4,000 people not rampaging, because it was just a march, but marching through Harlem. That's like tenfold.
That's how the police will describe it.
Yeah. It's a tenfold increase in the radical left engaging in these types of like street protests. But all it was really was a march against the MTA and the NYPD cracking down on subway fare evasion. And ironically, in order to stop these mass fare evasion, that just like what happened on November 1st, they shut down every single subway station north of Central Park on the island of Manhattan in order to stop this, which is it's really ironic considering that this whole thing is about,
which cost them a lot of money.
Yeah. It's like, we're just gonna fuck you, we're just gonna shut it down and pay these cops overtime so you can't ride.
Dude, fuck that. Honestly, you should just start smashing the fare machines.
I know, because I mean, a march does so much, and it really gets the awareness out, especially if you hand out pamphlets.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean anything if the pamphlets aren't posted ahead of time, because it was only on social media that this thing was organized. Mm-hmm. Now, they actually did real community involvement.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I think about. Like, rallies don't fucking do shit. Because that's why the Democratic Party and even the Republican Party do the same thing, where, like, a month or so before the election comes or some big political event, they'll, like, drum up a bunch of support, right? Get a whole bunch of people out there, get all that energy out, and then afterwards, people are like, oh, that's it. I've saved democracy.
Hashtag democracy.
Hashtag democracy, right? But, like, it doesn't do anything. It gets people out and it makes the news, but, like, politicians are smart. They know that, like, if most people will just come out to the rally and they won't do anything else. But for leftists like us, the rally, the most important thing, especially today, since, like, most of us make our connections through the internet, is being able to meet people and make connections, right? Because, like, all of my allies and, friends, fellow political friends that I've met were from a lot of these rallies that happen. And that's where you can get the real organization done. The real organization done.
Real organization.
The real organization. You can't see what I'm doing, but the real shit. The good shit done.
Yeah, but then it's also important to critique their strategy for these rallies too, because if the ultimate goal is to change the way the MTA operates business, you have to inhibit their ability to operate business. And their main source of income or business is those fare machines and the fares and the turnstiles. And if you're not going to attack and have an objective that addresses those material aspects of their revenue generating system, the whole point of your rally is moot.
Yeah.
You don't really accomplish anything by just going outside and just saying, fuck you, MTA, we gotta find a way to figure this out.
Yeah.
Well, no, you have to go out and enact the way and do the thing that necessitates the MTA.
Yeah, otherwise you're just blowing the steam off.
Yeah, you're just blowing steam out your ass.
If you're not, otherwise it's just a mob. There's no direction, which is why, like, you were telling me about how, like, after a little bit, the group just split off into 3 groups because there was no organization.
Yeah, it was so massive. The protest or the rally or march occupied like 6 blocks. I was in like the middle back half because, ironically, my bus was an hour late. So going to this transit protest, my mass public transport that I take completely failed. So it's kind of like it relates to each other. But when I got there, like I was just trying to chase down the rally, but then 6 blocks ahead of me there was the front of it.
Yeah, I mean,
and then the cops split us off when we reached the bridge into the Bronx, and half the rally went into the Bronx and found a way to route the police and evade them and actually go into a subway station. Because the cops didn't expect this mass movement across the bridge into the Bronx. And then you had 2 other groups marching in Harlem. There were like 1,000 people that the cops were trying to handle. So they were just stretched thin. There were like 1,000 cops out that day. Or that night. And because the protest was that massive and all we were doing was marching in a circuit, the cops could pick off little groups of people and split us up and divert us easily because there was no concrete objective for us all to rally around and defend. Like in Hong Kong, as much as there's so much propaganda against China, the Hong Kong protests, you have to give merit to their methods.
Oh yeah,
because
I mean, when you're
especially with the university.
Oh yeah,
they created a whole functioning city inside of this university and had a mass rallying point, and they held off the cops for like 4 days and burnt half the university to the ground to prevent the cops from arresting everyone, and then still evaded them. There were only like a few dozen arrests there. Less than that. The
New
York
cops also
rally.
let a lot of people leave. That was the main reason.
Yeah, because they were afraid. The cops aren't afraid of a rally going in a circuit because they know you're only going from point A to point B. You're not defending and almost dying for your objective. So the cops are just stand in a line and just divert traffic. It's no different than it's no different from diverting traffic. They have traffic cops at these rallies in New York. So if there's no distinct material objective to rally behind, you don't really have any purpose, and you really are just blowing steam out your ass with these rallies. And there's no organization, there's no purpose, there's no actual movement going on. It's it's falling, or it's degenerating into the disease of momentism, like Occupy Wall Street and all those other movements that happened in the past.
Yeah, because there's no central, like, I'm mad
about... There's no
about...
imperative to it.
Yeah, there's no imperative, there's no organization, there's no goal to go towards. It's just, I'm mad. And then people are like, well, let's just show up. And if we just show up enough, then all the politicians just magically listen to us over the MTA fare. Like, they didn't even, like I said, they didn't even smash any of the toll stations. If they were
One
really
turnstile got cut in half. But that was by those the black bloc guys. The actual hardliners who I see at every single rally who are always out there. Who always accomplish more than the RevCom guys, because they're fucking useless.
Well, I mean,
at least Decolonize This brought out 4,000 people. And rather than you have like Workers' World or the RevComs selling newspapers and acting as leeches.
During the rally, just, hey, you want to buy a newspaper?
They interrupted the leaders of the figureheads behind Decolonize This and said, we reject your identity politics. We call for a mass revolution. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. How are you actually going to do it?
And then Decolonize This was just like, yeah, we reject RevCom for being fucking leeches on our movement. And she's like, yeah, that's what they are. Because you got to give merit where merit's due. But it is also super important to criticize other movements and leftist organizations to build a proper way forward. Self-criticism and criticization is the most important aspects.
And discipline.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have... Discipline is the number one thing. Like, people love to romanticize, like, this is why I also make fun of, pseudo-commies on the internet, because they're always just like, who pose around with their fucking Mosin Nagants and their little Stalin hats, shankas.
They're Duganists.
Yeah, I just love, Nazball gangers. I love making fun of them because they just fucking post a bunch of fucking memes, but like they're not willing to like put in the time or the energy or the effort to organize anything. They just fucking post shitty tanky memes on the internet.
When was the last time they left their house to actually go out and organize or build a movement and promote it?
We gotta keep the movement pure. Like, we can't have, we can't have like conflicting ideologies within a movement. Like, fuck you.
What's so pure about your movement other than your crusty laptop keyboard?
Like, they fucking sit in their little bullshit ivory tower of perfectionism, and if the fucking, they're like, those are the same people who are like, criticize China for being like not true commies, even though China has succeeded in lifting almost all of its entire population outside of
no, you need
poverty.
Communism now, or else it's not.
It's gotta be pure communism right now, fully automated.
Where are my tendies?
Yeah, where are my tendies? I need my tendies.
But yeah, tendies, communism. Where's my communism?
Yeah.
I want it now, but I'm not going to work for it.
Yeah, you're interacting with America? How dare you?
Reject the Western imperialists and nuke the world. Cleanse the world.
You're not perfect.
Capitalism.
You're not perfect, which is why I'm going to support Western-backed coups, which is why I support the coup in Venezuela. Fuck you, you fucking dipshit.
Fuck assholes.
You fucking fucking dumbass piece of shit.
Find me on the streets.
Find me in the streets.
Like, literally
bitch.
find me. Get off your fucking computer. Where you at? Square up.
Square up, boy. Alright, hang on. I'm gonna take a break real quick.
What's the big deal?
Look at this fucking dick. It's like,
hey, look, Mom, I'm
oh my god,
white.
it's got this. Hey, Mom, look, I'm white. And of course, they gotta have the token Asian guy and the token black woman.
I don't think that lady's black.
The black woman, the Asian guy.
Those are Students for Pete. Have you seen the Students for Pete Facebook group?
No.
Oh, holy shit!
The only group I am in that's about Pete is the casual Pete Bootygei imperialism memes.
There's a group for that. You gotta add me to that. Holy shit! But yeah, let me look up Students for Pete. So there's 4,000 people in this group, or 3.7 thousand, and these are like, it's the same sign as their signs.
Oh my fuck.
So these are like all 4,000 of Pete's actual supporters. Long live the machine.
Long live the machine. I mean, Pete Buttigieg just looks like a CIA agent.
Oh
he's so forgettable looking.
Like he's the epitome of COINTELPRO.
Yeah. What do you mean by COINTELPRO?
Well, as what everyone should know, counterintelligence operations.
Oh, COIN. Yeah,
COIN. Yeah. The FBI creating fake leftist groups, not calling out any socialist groups, to divert the narrative into something that they could arrest people for. Like how most white nationalists are just autistic dudes from 4chan that they dupe into committing terrorist or pretending to commit terrorist acts and just arrest them.
Oh, you mean like the guy in, Chile? The libertarian dude who's just...
every time you hear about a bombing, the FBI's like, look, we caught a terrorist, and it's just some autistic dude from 4chan.
But here's what I never understand. How is it that, they all end up, looking the same? They all write, the same manifesto, basically, which is that women won't fuck me because of racism.
Well, because the incels, they target these,
They're
these
all the same thing.
Yeah, but then the one time one of these people actually does something and they don't catch it, it's just the one time these people act independent of the FBI's handlers. It's like the one time there's a real terrorist, the FBI's
handler.
Whoops. Missed that one.
I committed an oopsie.
Oopsie, I accidentally killed 30 people in Pakistan.
No, he didn't kill. He just ended their lives.
Yeah.
He just accidentally did so. You can't blame him for it.
But remember when the Christchurch shooting happened, and then they released all these screen caps from the FBI, and then after every single reply, it was you. So it was just the FBI replying to themselves, driving this narrative.
Oh my!
Which then led to the Christchurch shooter. It's like white nationalism was literally FBI invention.
Insane. All right, so before the break, we were talking about how much I fucking hate fake commies, right?
Yeah.
And nowhere is this issue more divisive than about China, right? No one talks about fucking Vietnam, even though Vietnam does literally the exact same thing as China.
Oh, yeah,
nobody gives a fucking shit about Vietnam, right? Or basically any other. Well, there isn't really no other as successful communist nation as China, really. And I just got back from China, and the number one thing that pisses me off is that people, even communists, will just wholeheartely gargle fucking imperialist memes about China or disinformation.
Yeah.
People believe that Winnie the Pooh is banned. These are just basic ideas about China that if you even think about it for a second, doesn't make sense. That if secret police are everywhere in China, people can't talk to outsiders. Fucking if Winnie the Pooh is banned, if you talk shit about China, you get
if you talk about the
Tiananmen massacre, 1989. If you even post that on some Chinese person's forum or internet, they'll instantly get blocked from the internet.
Or when you type Tiananmen Square in WhatsApp, it gets
Baidu.
Or Baidu, it gets
that's
changed
Chinese
to something else.
No, it fucking... And like, I think my favorite thing I did was when I went to China, I like on WeChat, which is basically like their version of GroupMe, I would just post in Chinese, Tiananmen Square.
Hold on, you're an actual Chinese person that went to China and is a leftist, and you're going to talk about the Chinese imperialism. Like, that's unheard of. Yeah. Like, God forbid a Chinese person actually talks about China.
Oh, yeah, God forbid. Or, you know what, like, or...
How do I know you're really Chinese?
How do I... Fuck, shit, man, you're right. You can't call me out on that without sounding racist now. But yeah, I remember I'll just send messages and be like, Tiananmen Square 1989 in Chinese and in English. And he'd be like, what? What are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm just testing something, bro. And they'd be like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But of all of this, I think the most frustrating thing is that when I speak out about it, I'm like pointing out like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. It sounds fake. That's when the racism comes out. Because suddenly it's, oh, you speaking out against China? Oh, how convenient. You're also Chinese? You must be a Chinese paid spy.
You're an agent of Xi Jinping.
Yeah, Xi Jinping sent out to spam up the internet. Therefore, it's the classic argument. It's like, once they've attacked my character, they can be like, oh, well, I've basically proven that nothing you said can be possibly be true.
Chinese.
Because
of course
you're Chinese.
You support China.
Of course you support China. Like, fuck you. It's such
it's like saying, oh, you're black, of course you support black liberation.
Yeah. Like,
fuck
it's
you,
such
you're just an agent.
Yeah. Oh, you're African, like, and you support African liberation? Pfft, I don't have to fucking listen to anything you
what?
say.
Racism is real? You're black. Of course you'd say that.
You're black. It's fucking dumb. But yeah. So when I was in China, I visited my old hometown in China. And my place, it's a relatively poor area.
Inner Mongolia, right?
Yeah, Inner Mongolia.
It's like the Wisconsin of China.
Actually, it is basically, if you interlaid a map of China and America on top of each other, Inner Mongolia would basically be the northern Midwest portion. Right. And it's fucking poor. But there's like lots of minority groups in there and shit. And it's called and basically, I remember as a kid when I lived there, all the roads were dirt. Mm-hmm. There was no such thing as Wi-Fi or even internet yet. Like, that wasn't around yet. And all the roads were dirt. Some of the houses didn't even have AC or electricity yet.
Yeah, you showed me pictures.
Yeah,
like,
I showed you the pictures of old houses, yeah.
That should be the main picture of the podcast.
Good idea, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So I did that, but then this year I went back, like just literally last month, and the amount of growth has been incredible. And it's stable growth 15, as well. Yeah, 20, state-run, sponsored,
15 years?
Stable growth. Within 20, let's say 20 years, right? Like, we have fully modernized road systems, a subway system being built for a city basically the size of, like, a mid-sized city, essentially.
Yeah, like, right? Can you imagine, like, some bumfuck Wisconsin city having a subway system, let alone New York City having a working subway system? New York City, the largest city in, the penultimate metropolitan area of what people consider to be a proper city, doesn't even have a working transit system.
I mean, San Francisco doesn't even have a subway system, so fuck that. And, electricity everywhere, running water, basically free internet wherever you go. People don't even use cash anymore because the government has basically centrally organized WeChat, which is like I already talked about WeChat, but you can pay for everything using WeChat. So you can call an Uber, or they call it Didi, but it's basically Uber. You just scan a QR code and you just send them the money and it just pays automatically. And so people don't even carry cash anymore. Like, they don't use credit cards, they just have their phone for that. And
meanwhile, in America,
some people they still don't accept credit cards.
Like, always think about it, like, in relationship to America, how free are Chinese people?
And not only that, the centrally planned economy means that they can plan out developments and living areas around like the industry that they want to develop, right? So, they have all these beautiful high-rise apartments that have been coming up for cheap areas to live, and they're all centrally located. They're based around like community
playground for kids. They've got shops in the lower levels. They've got basically a garage underneath, right? And it's all planned out for growth. And these houses are being sold as fast as they're being built.
And meanwhile, public housing in America is synonymous with the slums. Yeah. You think public housing, you think Section 8, you think, poor people.
Or even worse, people in America freeze to death outside while houses rot because they can't afford to buy.
There's more houses in LA than there are homeless people, and still people in LA are dying on the streets. Let alone you think of New York, which is still the central city of America. Yeah.
I think somebody did a research in San Francisco or LA, I can't remember now, where they found that the cheapest property that you can buy in San Francisco, in that area, in like SoCal, is a $400,000 rundown. Basically, it looks like something out of Detroit. And it's just a garage outside of Detroit. It looks like a rundown house in Detroit, but it's in San Francisco and it costs $400,000.
This has to do with gentrification, because once gentrification envelops a neighborhood, and gentrification has to do with developers, not renters, because with these landlords, it's cheaper to sit on an empty, rundown property than it is to let people live in them who can't afford the market price.
Yep.
So if you're renting out a property and the market price demands $2,000 a month, it is cheaper to sit on that property for a few years and pay little to no taxes on this empty property than it is to actually use it as a home for people dying and rotting on the streets.
Yeah.
And so that's why gentrification, or really what it is urban colonialism, is that these landlords come and buy up all the property and sit on them, waiting for the upper middle class, the petty bourgeoisie, to give them the money to live there. So it's cheaper to just let people die in the streets than it is to actually use your homes as homes in America.
And here's the thing. China got around that problem by basically doing what Japan does, where because even though we have more people going into the city in China every year, China builds more because they centrally plan, so they can just plan to build more buildings, and then they build high, right? And it keeps the average apartment being sold in China in that area is about $200,000.
The average apartment?
You can just buy the apartment.
You can buy the apartment, so that's not a yearly rent.
It's not. You're not renting the apartment. You buy the apartment for $200,000, and they're being
because $3,000.
I mean, like, we're in Jersey. You can't buy a house in New Jersey for $200,000, even in places like Camden or Trenton.
And in New York, a yearly rent is like $50,000 for Manhattan.
Yeah. So these houses are being
so for a 4 years of rent in America, you can literally buy an apartment.
Yep. It's insane. I mean, like, how stable the system is, right? And people will talk about, like, oh, on the internet, they're always like, oh, Chinese people are so miserable. They live in fear for their lives. No, like, the average Chinese person is healthy, right? The one thing that kind of annoyed me about China is because their population is so big, China, I don't understand. This is the one thing I don't understand, is they have an absolute obsession with building gigantic buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely ginormous buildings. And I'm talking about, like, instead of having like 4 or 5 hospitals in a city, they just build one absolutely ginormous fuck ton of a building. Like, this building was, I think, 30 stories tall and about as wide as like half a football field, and it was 30 stories tall, and it just had everything in it. But because even then it was still incredibly crowded. So normally in America, you would go to a hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put you on the bed, and they would move you around the hospital and take you to all your examinations, right? In China, you have to walk to all of your places, and you have to wait in line. So you would go in line to sign in, then you would have to wait your turn, then you have to take the elevator up to the floor that has like the basic checkup. Doctor give you a diagnosis. You have to then take an elevator back down, which takes fucking forever. Get in line again to get your diagnosis, then get in line again to get your medication, then get in line again to get your receipt, and then get in line again to pay your bill. And it just takes fucking forever. And it really is just because like there's a brain drain in China.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these people are going into America and other countries because they pay more for the same quality, and because China has 1.6 billion people, so there's just more people that they have to take care of for less doctors.
Yeah, like that's like 6 times the amount of people in America.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
Any statistic you find from China, you have to realize it's like 6 times less than what it is in America.
Uh-huh.
The amount of incarcerated people. Well, we're not even talking about the Uyghurs yet.
Oh, we haven't.
But I mean, if like Chinese people live in fear of their government and live in a totalitarian state that allows no fun, it's a no fun country, then why is like Peng Zai? He's on Twitter of all places. This is a lot of people would recognize him from that one Vine video or Instagram video is that meme where it's the Chinese guy drinking like 10 different types of liquor and swirling together with his finger
and lighting
he lights
it
on fire and lights a cigarette with the liquor on fire on his finger, and he drinks the beer in the tornado style. He invented the tornado style of beer drinking. But just last week he announced that he's throwing a worldwide party for anyone who wants to come to his farm in Hannai province. It's like 70 miles or 50 miles outside of Beijing. And he's throwing this party for anyone who wants to come. It's going to be a New Year's bash. Like, anyone from across the world, if you can get a visa for China, his friend will come and pick you up and bring him to his house for this giant party.
Oh, shit, that's lit, man.
Yeah.
Yo, let's go.
Yeah, the fucking guy, I kind of want to go. Like, the Peng Zai, the tornado beer-drinking style inventor, is throwing a party for anyone in the world. And he's posting this on Twitter. If he can post this on Twitter, and people are saying Chinese people have no connection to the outside world, that's kind of like, that's weird, because he's here.
I mean,
throwing a party for
Chinese
the world
people can
on
literally
Twitter.
post on TikTok.
Yeah, they
Like,
post
it
on
doesn't make
TikTok,
any sense.
Facebook, and Twitter, and yet people are saying they live underneath a totalitarian government that doesn't allow them any connection to the outside world. Meanwhile, you have Peng Zai, the tornado beer drinker, throwing a party for the entire world on his farm.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of ironic.
I mean, it is kind of ironic, but I mean, if you think about it, it also just makes a little bit of sense. I mean, that China is such a large company. It's such a large
Country.
China is such a large country that like you
China
can't.
is a company because they sell shit.
Yeah, they engage in trade. Therefore, they're all this entire thing's a company.
Yeah.
The libertarians.
Made in China, that's the worst company in the world. You know what they do to their workers?
Yeah, holy fuck, man.
Like, I mean, they don't shoot them down in the street like American companies do, but they're a company, which means they're evil.
Yeah, fuck China. Speaking of fuck China, so, I mean, the one thing I'm baffled by is why, like, so many leftists on the internet who call themselves communists believe in, like, the Uyghur situation.
Yeah, it's like you're just gonna get communism by smashing shit and saying we're communists now, so therefore everyone has to be communist.
Well, I mean, the first thing is that the fact that people actually believe that Chinese government is like racially profiling Muslims and like rounding up all the Muslims and putting them into camps, right?
Mm.
And which, you know, a lot of Americans don't really understand, like, Chinese minority populations, and they think they're like, oh, Uyghurs are Muslims, we're routing them up because they're Muslim.
Well,
right?
I saw on NPR they were in camps, and
I saw
they were
NPR.
arrested, and they were put. I mean, the lady on NPR said, yeah, they're just vocational camps, but NPR said they're putting all the Uyghurs inside of concentration camps.
Yeah, concentration camps, right? And, like, it makes sense for us to think that, right? Because, like, we always talk about Islamic discrimination, and so on, right?
I mean, we pretty much bombed all the entire Muslim,
after we destroyed
every Muslim country.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, maybe that wasn't a good idea.
Right? But what, you know, and we've got the UN backing us, right? And the UN is saying the same thing. Oh, that's what we're hearing, right? But what we don't realize is that once you start looking at the sources, one, the New York Times, you know, the Sun, all these different like news sources, CNN, Fox News. If you follow the source trail, where are they getting their sources from? It either comes from that one the UN statement in quotation marks, or Radio Free Asia.
And Radio Free Asia is a known agent of the West.
Radio Free Asia is basically the equivalent of Radio Free Europe, which was basically a CIA-backed operation to spread anti-Soviet propaganda. Radio Free Asia is exactly the same thing, except in China.
Well, I think Radio Free Asia was behind the Tiananmen Square protests too, where this is a whole different topic. We could do a whole episode about this, but they basically bust in people from all over China for these liberal democracy marches, and then most of the people in these marches realized, yeah, this isn't really what we're about. It's just it's like a handful of rioters just throwing bottles at cops.
People did die in Beijing in 1989.
Then the Chinese government recognizes this.
Yeah, they recognize it.
And soldiers also died. A lot of the pictures of dead
but
people
not just that. It was
Tiananmen
like
Square
Western
are soldiers.
But here's the thing: no one's gonna believe if Chinese soldiers say they died, right? But what they will believe is that Western politicians were reported back to their countries that, hey, the Chinese soldiers in Tiananmen Square let the students leave. Students were allowed to peacefully leave, but it was the fighting on the outskirts when basically rioters blockaded the streets and wouldn't let the soldiers get to the town square, the Tiananmen Square. Those were shot up, right? Like it's an unfortunate fact that like when that's happened, and it's sad, but the Chinese government has never hided that fact, and it's taught in schools as well.
Meanwhile, if we relate the Tiananmen Square massacres to American history, we look at the thousands of people that were killed in the 1960s, where the 101st Airborne and the National Guard would gun down students. Like in Chicago, where hundreds of people were killed. Yeah, Kent State, hundreds of people were killed in Chicago by the 101st Airborne, who would gun down people on the street. Black people on the street.
Yeah. Hell, our own government was responsible for the opioid crisis that's happening in America right now.
And then even
the CIA literally spread heroin because what better way to raise funds for your black site activities if those funds were never tracked in the first place?
And that's not even a conspiracy theory. There are declassified documents that verify what we're saying about the CIA.
It's insane. But going back to China, so Uyghur situation, right?
Different episode.
So one, Radio Free Asia is well known for just basically either misconstruing, twisting facts, or just outright lying about bullshit that happens in China, right? And then CNN and Fox News will basically take that information and present it as facts and then the American media will just fucking eat that shit up, right? Not only that, the UN announcement that there was that like 1 million Uyghurs were being basically put in camps is completely false. UN never made that announcement. It's a completely fake story. So because what happened was one U.S. representative in one UN committee said that it happened, said that 1 million Muslims were being rounded up based on the guess of one humanitarian group called the Chinese Human Rights Defenders, based in Washington, D.C. Right?
Chinese, but you live in D.C. Yeah.
No one questioned it. They were just like, yeah, of course it's true. Because if it's against China, it must be true. Right? Anything negative about China is true. Anybody defending China is automatically a dissident. And you can just disregard whatever they say. It's the classic 1984 tactic. Right? But what China has never tried to hide is the fact that, like, there it's not camps, it's vocational schools.
Well, no, they're prisons.
They're not even, because people can go home on the weekends.
Can they?
Yeah, they can just leave.
Well, then it's not a prison then.
It's not a prison. Leave. It's because what they've known is because they saw what happened in the Middle East, right? And they saw what happened in the Philippines when ISIS members infiltrated the Philippines.
Then, to pacify the Americans on this story, you have to consider the Chinese Constitution. And then what does the Chinese Constitution say? There's 4 tenets that pretty much summarize up to the church or religious institutions cannot usurp the state, and there cannot be international religious institutions that can devolve power to the people.
Yeah,
so
separation of church and state.
The state is the authority. There is no church that can be the authority.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there's like 50 other Muslim minorities inside of China.
There's 55.
None of them have this problem.
I believe there's 55 minority groups in China, like major minority groups. And of those, 10 of them are Muslim, right? But China saw what was happening in the Middle East and in places like the Philippines, where like radical, literally ISIS members came into the Philippines and radicalized the Muslim population, and the Philippines had to literally shoot them, fight their way through cities in the Philippines to defeat ISIS, which you never hear about in American media because that just makes us look bad. So China saw that, and they basically set up these vocational...
Well, not to mention, the Philippines are also shooting Filipino communists.
Yeah. So, but going back, so China's basically setting up these vocational schools because they understood that radicalism happens when people are living in poverty, right, and they have no alternative. So they've been investing massively in the province of Xinjiang, where all the Uyghurs are, and they basically been building up the infrastructure, the schooling system, the public road networks and stuff like that. They've been setting up vocational schools, and and they've basically been saying like, hey, these people, the criminal elements, people that they catch, criminals, and people that they suspect of being radicalized, right? Because like America, they keep track of people, and people who make statements that are radical Islamic stuff, bullshit like Wahhabism, get put into these schools and said, you're going to learn a trade, and we're going to teach you basically why the radical Islam that you're teaching is wrong. Because people will come in and they start saying like, well, women should be mandatorily forced to wear burqas, which the Uyghur population of China has never worn burqas. It has never been done. It's like in some places of Islam they do that, not in China. They've never historically done that. People come in and start doing that shit, they wouldn't. And then the native Uyghur population itself has rejected a lot of it, and so they stopped selling burqas in their own stores, right? Or they would shut down stores that sell that, and the Chinese government would also come in and do that, because China itself has been the subject of terrorist attacks from radical Islam since the 2000s.
Yeah, there's stories.
I'm talking about like bus bombs,
all the time.
Suicide bombers, shooting sprees have been happening in that area. And
CNN won't tell you that shit, and Vice won't tell you that shit. Even on Twitter, you won't find that information because you don't follow Chinese Twitter.
Yeah, and so not only they're not being discriminated against because they're Muslim, because there are 9 other Muslim minorities in China that
none of them have this problem.
Yeah, none of them are even being discriminated against.
Because Xinjiang is literally right next to Afghanistan and Pakistan. It borders Afghanistan and Pakistan, so you have this cross-border influence of radical Islamic ideology, or Islamofascism, shall we call it.
Yeah. And so this, it's just absolutely insane, like the stories that like CNN and that just Radio Free Asia are putting out. Like, people are being forced to eat pork.
Well, like, even NPR, they in one of their stories, their primary source even said, yeah, well, these are vocational camps, they're not prisons. And NPR was like, well, there's 1 million people in vocational camps. That's bad. And it's like, well, the Uyghur literally said, these are big vocational camps, and verified what even we're saying.
I don't even think it's 1 million people, because the entire area only has 10 million people in it. 1 million people is half the male population, which is absolutely insane. Like, you can't. Think about the economic effects that would have if you just rounded up half the working male population, right? They couldn't afford to do that.
And the fact that there's still 1.5 billion other Chinese people who can post about this on the internet and literally have free access to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube that would be calling out these crimes against humanity.
Well,
they don't. One, because there is a firewall, right? Because China doesn't want to allow YouTube in. They have one.
But even
those are
every
private
Chinese person
corporations.
knows that you can just download a VPN and bypass that. It's so easy.
It's incredibly easy to do that. Like, I bought one, and it would cost me $5 to do that, and I could just get around it. But like, it's easy, but it's just like the Chinese government doesn't want you doing that because then one, it gives Google and like all the other corporate entities more power over the information, the disinformation campaign that happens, right? So it's just, but going back to the Uyghur situation is, and like talking to comrades on the internet who actually like wholeheartedly just gobble up all this disinformation that's happening against China is absolutely mind-blowing what happens there. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. So that's my rant about China over.
And the Uyghurs.
I'm sure it won't be
You're
the
all
last time.
fucking stupid. That's what we're saying. You're all wrong.
So going back, it's like Bolivia. Sometimes the answer is as simple as you're fucking wrong, and the CIA and the Western media is fucking lying to you. Don't fucking drink that fucking Kool-Aid.
You're stupid for trusting any source that originates from the West. Like, why would you do that?
Especially
Half
one
the
that's
time
anti-China. Like,
Yeah.
why would NBC or CNN ever publish anything positive about China?
Yeah, like, just think about it. Just for 1 second, think critically.
Alright. So yeah, that's my Uyghur rant. Over. So.
Yeah, well, everyone's fucking wrong.
Hey Mac, try this moonshine that I got for my housewarming gift though.
I did not try it yet. Like old smoky moonshine. Apple pie. Ooh, it smells strong.
It's pretty good. It tastes exactly like apple pie. Alright, so I know that seltzer goes well in a martini, right? That's gin.
No, martini's not martinis. Martinis are gin and sweet vermouth and a little bit of olive oil.
I thought olive oil. I thought it had... No, not olive oil. What the fuck?
Olive juice.
I thought olive juice, yeah. But I
You
thought
get
it
the
had
olive in it.
seltzer water in it.
They're fucking disgusting.
It's gin and tonic.
No,
Well,
yeah,
are
gin
you
and
talking
tonic.
about a dirty martini or a clear martini? 'Cause those are
All
different.
martinis are gross. That's why Americans use vodka in their martinis and
Yeah.
sweet shit like seltzer. Because British people are fucking disgusting.
Okay, well, my point is, do you think that a watermelon citrus sparkling water would go well with Wild Turkey bourbon?
I don't know. Because I know White Claw is just seltzer.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
vodka. So what about seltzer and bourbon?
Listen, ain't no law
When you're
drinking
drinking with
claw.
the claw. Yeah, let's try it.
Give that a try. Let's taste
This
this.
moonshine is really good though. Apple pie. What percentage is it though? Is it gonna get me drunk? No, it's 35.
Actually, it's not bad.
Wild turkey's like 50.
Give it a taste.
Yeah, wild turkey's 50.5. It tastes like
It just sort of eliminates everything.
yeah, seltzer just gives you no flavor, but
It's weird.
But you get a bit of that. Maybe seltzer with scotch.
Seltzer and scotch. Well, scotch has that smoky flavor that I like, and
How about just watered down bourbon instead
Yeah.
of like cans? That would be a good drink.
watered down bourbon. We would market it as like Mississippi bourbon.
No, just Mississippi water.
Mississippi water, and it's just
Old
literal
river water. It's just watered down bourbon.
old river water, and it's just we scoop up a big gallon of Mississippi water and just pour in like a jar of moonshine, and that's it. That's it. The moonshine sanitizes the water.
Yeah.
See? So it's good to drink.
Ooh, that's apple pie.
All right. So what were we talking about before the break? Oh, yeah, the Uyghur situation, right? Which brings us back to Bolivia, which
How?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. We want to talk about Bolivia. now,
Yeah,
so.
I want to fuck you. You're listening to our podcast. We're talking about Bolivia. So, I mean, the fact that, like, I'm absolutely amazed that people who know about like America's history in South America, where our history of basically just overthrowing democratic leaders and installing right-wing dictators.
We learned about the Monroe Doctrine in like 8th grade.
Yeah. Oh,
like the Monroe Doctrine.
We learned that like the Monroe Doctrine is somehow a positive for the world. You know, we're keeping out
America
the
for the Americans.
Yeah.
It's like,
you mean America for the United States?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were we taught that America was an empire? I guess we were.
We never.
We never
it wasn't
taught overtly said that America was an empire.
And like as a history teacher, we never learn. I never teach, or none of our textbooks explicitly say that America is an empire, even though that is exactly what we have today.
Yeah.
Right. It just makes America look bad, right?
It's like saying it but not saying it.
Mm-hmm. Because think about it, our education system is run by the government.
And the government thinks that, slaves weren't treated badly. The Reconstruction era was a time where everyone was at peace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And black people weren't used as alligator bait.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on the fact that we're not supposed to teach that slavery was started by... that the Civil War started over slavery.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to present, like, evolution. You know how in science class we have to teach that, like, it could be evolution, but it could also be God. So we have to teach that, like, the Civil War could be over slavery.
Church and state.
No, it's fucked up. But I mean, for a Civil War, we have to be like, it could be slavery, but it could also be over the battle for states' rights
to have slaves.
We cut out that last bit, right? But I plan to teach it so that it's when we do talk about it, it is going to be it's the state's right to have slaves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you could have a whole episode about your little experiments with these kids.
With these, it's not experiments. It's educating them about how to properly think about history, teaching them what the actual meaning of social justice and social studies is. Because in social studies, you have to study society.
Yeah.
So you can't study society without being analytical.
1800s Americas, like you had the I think was it during Van Buren's time? Was it where the Democrats, the Southern Democrats, the slave owners, almost they had that secret backhand deal, and then there was so much violence in that era too against like indigenous and black people.
Ridiculous. I mean, if you want to talk about it, the Republican Party used to be the Socialist Party because Abraham Lincoln used to be pen pals with Karl Marx.
Yeah,
and if you read his early speeches, he would always say that, like, he would say amazing shit. Like, he'd be like, my good friend Karl Marx told me that, labor is the superior to capital. And he would, in public forums.
People trying to put out, like, misinformation about how, Abraham Lincoln never really wanted to free the slaves. He was just doing it to appease the Southern Democrats. And it's like, well, he was pen pals with Karl Marx.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you could say all the shit about Karl Marx being racist, but Karl Marx still understood that, like, humanity was universal across races and religion.
Yeah.
Regardless of his racism and anti-Semitism.
And that, like, not only that, and that the average worker, separated by thousands of miles and race, the workers of the world from around the world had more relations to each other, despite their racial and religious differences and gender differences, had more relation to each other than their bosses. And they have a relationship to their bosses. Because the average worker from India today can understand the worker from China, can understand the factory worker in fucking Detroit.
Well, if there were factories still in Detroit.
If there still were.
I mean, that's why you have the 8
Mile.
There's
still,
because
you've got, like, these tiny factories all over America these days.
Like the 8 Mile movie with Eminem. I was watching a few clips of it last night. And then the whole thing was made in, like, 2003. But the whole movie was just about, like, Eminem growing up in Detroit and working in these auto factories. And I realized, like, Detroit is literally, like, everyone in Detroit is literally based around these auto companies. And the moment these auto companies left Detroit, everyone fell into destitute poverty, and Detroit was destroyed.
Yeah.
So then you have this narrative like, the Democrats destroyed Detroit. No, the capitalists destroyed
exactly.
Detroit.
Just like Bolivia was destroyed the moment that Morales left.
Yes, back against the segue.
Back to the segue. Ooh, that's smooth. So, I mean, Bolivia.
Yeah.
My God. Don't get me started on that.
What happened in Bolivia? Nothing?
Nope. It was just a complete pro-democracy movement, just like in Hong Kong, where for somehow the president that was voted in by the people for a third term was just mysteriously and democratically removed from power by the military, which also just so happened to be run by far-rights, fascists.
We're trying to cleanse Bolivia of the Satanist indigenous.
Oh yeah, who's the president who made tweets that said, quote, "I dream of a Bolivia free of satanic indigenous rights. The city is not a place for Indians. They must go to the highlands or the plains."
Sueño con una Bolivia libre de ritos
Alright, stop.
satánico indigenous.
No. It's Sueño con una Bolivia libre de delitos satánicos indígenas.
You said it just as
La
wrong as I
ciudad
did.
no es para los indios que se vayan a Altiplano o al Chaco.
You said it just as wrong as I did.
Listen, at least I took
Chaco.
Spanish in high school.
I took Spanish in high school too.
Bullshit.
You're Chinese though.
That's racist.
You're racist.
No, you.
No.
Oh shit! Fucking wrecked.
Okay, you got it. You know what? Here's what I have to say to you in Spanish. No.
Okay.
Just like Cory Booker.
Okay, gringo.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the
Sueño
fucking
con-
coup that happened basically
Sueño.
in Bolivia. I mean, it's.
There was no coup. My
There
friend
was no coup. Yeah. All right. Listen, man. If you can't accept the fact that it was a coup, then you're a fucking idiot. Like I don't know what else to tell you, but you have less understanding and less of a grasp of what's going on in Bolivia than some fucking tanky kid on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Than a fucking tanky. All right. You fucking idiot.
Even the kids like in high school who are like literally just talking in like Bernie memes have a better understanding than most liberals in America.
Yeah, a fucking Bernie bro has a better understanding than you. All right.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this still an hour and a half in, you're a fucking idiot.
Unless you agree with what I say, in which case you're a fucking genius. Congratulations. Welcome to the club.
Big brain hours.
All right. Well, I think that's about everything that I wanted to talk about this week. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Not really.
All right. Well,
I don't know. So yeah, Bolivia. There's a coup being run by far-right fascists who want to murder every single indigenous person in the country.
yep. Hong Kong. There's a far-right movement being run by fascists which wants to...
Well, not really
remove
far. I don't think there's any real ideological imperative.
I don't know.
behind
I
their
think
movements.
once you start putting Pepe memes on your protest
No,
posters...
they interpret Pepe as something different.
True.
It's
let's
not necessarily
say pro-British and pro-American.
Oh, okay.
protests.
The American flags and the British flags are bad optics. I'll give you that.
Yeah, let's say that pro-American rallies in Hong Kong are fucking bullshit.
Well, I mean, they did defend the American diner. That was like their kind of central rally.
Yeah,
point.
the
American diner in the Hong Kong.
Go Bob, all
Polytechnic
American
University.
diner. Yep.
How do you say "I love America" in Chinese?
Fucking, I don't know.
I thought
I
you
never
were
learned
Chinese.
that. I never learned that.
What about? Whatever. You don't know Chinese.
Okay. Listen, anybody who gives awards to John McCain for anybody who gives the Freedom Award to John McCain is wrong.
Did they really?
Yeah, they gave John McCain the Freedom Award.
So all the Hong Kong, or at least Hong Kong, is like in their general narrative. They believe John McCain liberated and freed Iraq from
Vietnam.
in Vietnam.
Yeah, John McCain, wasn't he the pilot in Vietnam?
Well, he was a pilot who shot a rocket at his own dude and got shot down
Yeah.
like 3 times.
Well, let's be honest.
He's the most
Hong-
incompetent pilot. Like he
Hong
shot his
Kongers
own
are-
dude on his own carrier. He
Hong
wasn't even in
Kongers
the
are
air.
basically saying that they support the bombing of Vietnam. So, yeah.
John McCain was like one of the only pilots to get shot down while still on the carrier.
He
Not
got
even
shot-
in the air, and you still get shot down.
That's how fucking wrong they are. Uyghur situation
I'm
in
so
China.
glad he's dead.
Dude, hell yeah. Listen, John McCain, you might have power and money and influence, but the one thing you'll never have is a young, healthy body. So, you know
Or
what?
Being alive.
Do a jumping jack for John McCain. Piss him off.
Jump,
Alright.
piss on John McCain's grave.
Piss on John McCain. No, don't even piss on it. Do a jumping jacks. Do some push-ups on John McCain's grave.
Oh, we should do that.
Oh hell yeah! Arlington Cemetery. Just do some couple push-ups on them.
Yeah.
Flex on those bitches.
It's only a 4-hour drive.
Hell yeah! Let's go down there. All right. Uyghur situation in China. Bullshit.
Yeah, understanding like talking to real Chinese people about what's actually happening in China.
Real shit.
Like real Chinese people, not some like dudes from Washington D.C. Like if you understand from the Chinese perspective.
to flee China because I was so oppressed. Bullshit.
Castro stole all of my servants and slaves.
Yeah.
How evil is he?
Castro got rid of my slave plantation in Cuba, and now I'm all sad, and I had to run to America where I live in a big apartment in New York City. Fuck off. Fuck you.
And then what else before that?
Oh, fuck, man. I don't even remember what was shit we talked about.
Bootygei being...
Oh, Bootygei. Bootygei.
Hey, look, Mom, I'm white.
Look, Mom, I'm white and I can't get black votes because I fake all of their names in my memos. Oh yeah, that's right. Bootygei, he published that article where he was like, look at these 400 prominent people who are supporting my campaign, and like half of them were white. So another half of them were like, hey, we never endorsed your campaign.
And then he used stock footage or stock photos of Kenyan people.
Yeah,
like,
and then he used
these are my black voters. Look at how popular I am with the minorities.
Yeah, and then the best
and
part
he still
was,
can't even fill up like a 30-person hall of white people, let alone any black people.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Oh, the best part was I was looking online, and apparently the way he got the endorsements was that he sent out emails to prominent black leaders in Carolina, right? And the email says, please note that not responding to this email counts as an endorsement. Can you fucking imagine the bullshit that happens? Dude, I just sent an email to like Trump being like, hey, listen, I'm a communist and and I want to run for president. And if you don't respond to this email in the next 15 minutes,
this
that
is
counts.
a coup. If you don't respond to this email in 15 minutes, that means I run the government.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is basically what happened in Bolivia.
It's basically what happened in Bolivia. All right, so.
Oh, and before that, we talked about the movements in New York, right?
The rally that happened in New York.
So don't march, smash.
Smash. Agitate.
Smashy.
No,
Educate.
Organize. Yeah. All right. You gotta have
or retaliate.
All three. You gotta have all three.
You agitate, retaliate, educate. Those are the three tenets.
Agitate, educate, organize,
or retaliate.
But you gotta have organization.
Yeah, but retaliate is really the same thing. Agitate, educate, retaliate.
All right.
Remember in Philly when they were chatting that?